Hey everybody, I'm Brian Goulet of GouletPens.com to present to you my take on the hottest fountain pen inks of 2024. This is a largely subjective and unabashedly biased list that I put together in ascending order, building up to number one at the end. There are some colors that remain strong sellers every year. I'll mention a few of those, but this will mostly consist of the new inks that we saw this year, so should be pretty good. There's going to be a theme to many of the colors this year, so let's see if you can figure out what that is before I point it out at the end. Let's do this. Number 8, Wearingeul Hades. This is a newer brand on the scene, and they've really had some strong colors, and a lot of them with really thoughtful theming and stories. The standout though was Hades. This is a black ink with a frozen blue shimmer, as they call it, which really gives it this captivating effect with the contrast of the darkness and the sparkles. It looks awesome. I also have to give an honorable mention to Wearingeul Frankenstein, which was another strong color from this brand this year. Number 7 is Pelikan Edelstein Golden Lapis, which is their special edition ink of the year, and it matches the Golden Lapis M200 special edition pen. I'm pretty much mentioning Pelikan's ink of the year on this list every year, because every year, they make some banging colors and everybody wants them. This year is on track with that, with a blue color that definitely draws my eye to it. And there's a gold shimmer that I think just complements it so well. And the bottle itself actually matches the ink. It's got the name in blue on the bottle, but then it's got the logoing and the cap are gold. Just chef's kiss with this year's Pelikan color. Moving on to number 6, we have Ferris Wheel Press's Aurorealis. This is a 2024 limited edition. Now this brand is known for creating a lot of interesting colors, many of them with shimmer, and also some pretty elaborate packaging and theming. This color was their 2024 limited edition as a royal purple with a duochrome shimmer that shifts from pink to gold. It's hard to distinguish exactly what's shimmer and what's sheen in this ink, but whatever it is that you're looking at, it's gonna be intriguing. We turn to Colorverse with number 5, with Blue Dragon. Now this one is interesting for a couple of reasons. It's a dark blue that leans a little bit green, maybe walking the line of teal, I don't know. But it also has a pretty intense red sheen, particularly on really ink-resistant paper. This is just the standard color though. There are actually 4 versions of Blue Dragon in total, with the other 3 of them having different color shimmers. They all have the same base of Blue Dragon standard, but you can get glistening silver, glistening blue, and glistening gold versions, each with shimmer that is, as you would probably figure, silver, blue, and gold respectively. Now these are special edition colors that come in 15 milliliter bottles, not the most practical bottles to fill from, but they look cool, and it's probably worth the trouble for inks this cool. All right, now we're starting to get into the heavy hitters with LAMY Blackberry here at number 4. Now, Blackberry came out with the special edition Blackberry Safari earlier this spring. It's a deep purple with a bit of a leaning towards maroon, and it also has a prominent gold sheen. Now, it's not quite as loud as some of the other colors on this list, and I think that's actually what makes it appealing. It's a more subdued, heavy sheener, if that's a thing. I also just want to give an honorable mention to LAMY Cliff here as well. It's the blue ink that LAMY created to match the Pink Cliff Safari that was released at the same time as Blackberry. It's less of a sheener, but it's still a really wonderful color and was pretty popular. All right, now we're at the top 3. This one will feel very familiar because it's basically been at the top of the hottest inks since they started making them. I'm talking about the Diamine Inkvent calendar. Now this is actually a set of 25 different inks intended to serve like an advent calendar, where you open, one little door each day, starting on the 1st of December, leading all the way up to Christmas. Now they name each year's calendar after a different color, with this year's being the black edition. And no, it does not mean that there are going to be 25 different black inks in there, though I can understand how that might be kind of confusing. As their Inkvent patterns have shown, it's a wide variety of new colors that they introduce, with a mix of conventional, sheening, and shimmering ones. You don't know what you're getting, so it's a little surprise gift each day. It's pretty fun, and they're popular every year. It'll be really neat to see what the standout colors are coming out of this year's calendars. And that leads us to number 2, which is, wait for it, another Advent style ink calendar. That's right. Colorverse hopped on the trend with Diamine and created their own calendar of 24 inks for what they're calling the Colorverse Colorvent calendar. And that is some satisfying alliteration right there. Now, Colorverse has a space theming to their brand, and that shows prominently in the Colorvent design. It's a gorgeous looking product, and you're actually getting a 15 milliliter bottle of each color. That's the standard 15 ml bottle that you see with other Colorverse inks like Blue Dragon that I mentioned earlier. Now, this one is a bit more expensive than Diamine, but it's a higher ink volume and overall a bit more of a premium design and packaging. So I think Colorverse did a pretty good job, making their own unique spin on this type of product. As for the colors themselves, I'm recording this way ahead of when they've gotten into a lot of people's hands, and I haven't had the time to ink them all up, so I can't really speak to what they look like in this video, but I have no doubt that there will be lots of conversations happening online regarding people's reactions to the colors in this calendar. Now, I know what you're thinking. If 2 different ink calendars couldn't take the top spot this year, what in the world could? Well, I'll tell you right after I give a few honorable mentions. Now, these aren't inks that had particular standout sales or attention, but I thought were notable and interesting, so I'll at least mention them. Diamine came out with 6 shades of a 160th anniversary collection in unique bottles, nice jewel tones with some decent shading properties. Sailor released some new Manyo series colors, which are usually pretty popular among pen fans for their unique and interesting colors. Jacques Herbin came out with a series of conventional inks themed after Paris that are quite pleasant, especially if you're not looking for a heavy sheen or shimmer. And then I thought you might also be curious to know what some of the top inks were that weren't necessarily 2024 releases, the ones that are like regularly available. So here were the top 5 regular sellers at Goulet pens in bottle form, listed by quantity of bottles sold. Organic Studio Nitrogen is number 1, big shocker. Diamine Writer's Blood is next, no real surprise there. Diamine Oxblood is next, another strong red. Noodler's Black, solid permanent black, can't go wrong. And Diamine Sherwood Green. Now this one surprised me a little, beating out regular top sellers like Emerald of Chivor and Konpeki. It's not new or anything, it just got a lot of love this year. And with that, we've now reached the top of the list, the pinnacle of ink hotness for 2024. And that esteemed spot goes to none other than LAMY Dark Lilac. Now, seldom does an ink literally become newsworthy, with an article in the New York Times being written about the speculation and anticipation around this one ink color. For those of you who don't know the history of it, it was a special edition ink color that matched the Dark Lilac Safari released back in 2016. The ink was really not around very long, but it gained almost this legendary reputation after 8 years of people basically not being able to get it. Now, the formulation for the revamp of it, varied a little bit from the original due to some dye component changes that LAMY just couldn't avoid. So when they re-released it early this year, it made quite a stir and had a little bit of controversy. If you want more details on this whole story, I made a whole video about it, so you can go check that out. Aside from the excitement and drama around the ink's release, it legit was a hugely popular color this year, blowing absolutely every other ink out of the water in terms of bottles sold. And I also mentioned earlier in the video that there was a theme to this year. What did you pick up on? I'll be honest, it's a bit of a trick question because I think there's actually kind of a couple of different themes going on. Shimmer ink definitely is a strong theme, as well as sheen. I think every ink on this list has heavy shimmer or sheen. But there was also a disproportionately high number of dark purple inks. So that is really something that jumped out at me. I guess it's just a really popular color this year. You can find all the inks that I mentioned in today's video at gouletpens.com by clicking on the links in the description or just head on over to the website. Thank you so much for watching and right on.